Got a great program I wrote here on this PC98. There it is. It's going to print high and then pulsing beeps that are going to be really hard to hear because the speaker is super quiet. So here we go. Catching all that? So I can control the volume too. So this computer, it works. I don't like how it works, but it works. So here's the memory test. Base memory 640K, extended memory 132. Now, it doesn't boot right. It only boots into BASIC, which is built into the BIOS. And there you see the 640K free memory, which BASIC is able to use. Now, if I boot it again and hold down the help key, we can get into that. This is the BIOS. Quite interesting. It uses this concept of soft dip switches. So there's the dip switch right there, right? And it highlights what you're looking at. Then you can go to, I'm on switch 2. And it shows, as you tab through, now I'm on switch 3. So this is just set the defaults right now. I don't think it's causing me any trouble. It's set to have an internal hard disk, but while the hard drive powers up, I'll show it to you, it's a SCSI drive, it does not do anything. So edge connected 50-pin SCSI drive. I've got 2 of these. Neither of them do anything. I don't think this one even makes noise. Now, I've also got 2 floppies. Now, I had some strange behavior with the floppies. I plugged them in. There is a port right there. And that port provides power. Now, notice there is also a power port, but the port provides power. So that's all you need on these floppies. And as you can see from the little case they put them in, all that's exposed is the pins. So you don't need a power cable. However, plugging in the floppies, even just plugging in the floppy cable, prevented this thing from starting up right, which I can't quite understand. Anyway, I've got a lot of cards for this. I have no way of testing what works and what doesn't work. So this is a serial and a SCSI card. There's another SCSI card over here. There's the internal SCSI. This is actually designed to internally have a pair of 5 1/4 inch drives connected to that. Now maybe those use the power plug, I don't know. And I don't know what these other edge connectors would be possibly for in this configuration, frankly. But somebody had already taken out the drives for some reason, and I got my hands on it. Now, I don't have the right video cable. I have the video cable jury rigged, as you can see, but it is producing, normal VGA output. I just took a look at the pinouts and, hooked it up to a VGA cable. Works like a champ, as long as you don't move anything. Anyway, cables, you can get cable adapters and get your VGA output. Now, the keyboards are special. They look like they use a serial like a PS2 plug, but they don't. So you have to get special ones from Japan. This is a special one from Japan. Works well. This is a mechanical keyboard as well. So it's cool. What else can I tell you? Whoever you are. Memory. Memory works. Speaker. Underneath that is the CPU. If I recall, and if you look on a very odd angle. Oh, come on. There we go. Without taking this all apart, I'm pretty sure there's a 486 in here. Oh, by the way, that is the mouse port. Now, while that looks like a serial mouse port, trust me, it's not. There are some reports of limited driver support for a serial mouse, but what you really need is something called a bus mouse. And Microsoft made them in the 80s. You can still find a bus mouse. You might have to rewire it yourself, though, because I haven't seen one with a serial, a DE9 plug on it. But if you can just get yourself a bus mouse, you can kit it up, put on a DE9 male plug, and plug it in so you'll have mouse and keyboard. So this is a project. I have several other boards. I'm going to have to sell them separately. I can't test any of them. Well, I can. And so far none of them seem to work. They may need recapping. They may need all kinds of stuff. I have no idea. But I'm going to sell those in a separate auction. The power supplies in these is sort of ATX, right? What I mean by that is it looks like it's an ATX. It's about the right size. What you'll find is that the connectors are old. The connectors to the motherboard, they look more like a LX, PC LX maybe. I think that is the right nomenclature. Anyway, you have like P8, P9, P10 plugs, as well as the main motherboard header plug. So again, if you really wanted to switch it up, you could put a regular ATX power supply in here. You would just have to make some new plugs to put it together, get it to work. So I'm going to get out of this. There we go. Oh, the monitor. Not only is the cable funky, worth mentioning, the horizontal sync rate is completely different than anything you've seen before. This one's probably running at 24? Yeah, 24 kilohertz. This monitor actually supports it. This is a HP Pro Display P201, and this works with both the PC98s that I have. I found this easily. It's just for sale on Facebook. It's like $40. So you get this. This will work with a PC9801 or a PC9821. Works fine. But again, you're going to want to make an adapter or buy an adapter from that 2-row 15-pin VGA plug to the standard 3-row 15-pin VGA plug. Not hard to do, just all part of the project. Oh, one more thing, power. This is taking 110. There it is, right there. Well, actually, sorry, 100. So, this is what you get. This works great, $50-$60 on eBay. You can plug your monitor into it on the 120 jack, and then plug the computer in on the 100 side. Now, Japanese 100 volt plugs are non-polarized. What does that mean? Well, it means they don't have, I mean, it's AC, so there's no polarity, but the point is that they don't have a wide blade. Okay? So, I don't have one lying around handy to show what I'm talking about. Maybe I do. So if I can just find any old power plug, 2-prong power plug, see if it's got... No, it doesn't have the wide blade. Well, a lot of plugs have a wide blade, so they can only insert one way. The Japanese one doesn't. So I took 2 power plugs, cut them in half, bonded them together, used a Dremel to cut down the wide blade on the plug, and now it fits and works like a champ. So, oh, but I don't have it grounded. Guess what? That's the ground screw. There's the corresponding ground screw. So, to be safe, you should run another wire from here to there. I would attach the wire to the power cable so that you don't lose it. Wow. That's about all the fun and games I can tell you. Oh, this will need a new, it'll need a new CMOS battery. That's the least of your problems. Oh, by the way, these ISA looking sockets are not ISA sockets. Those are C-bus sockets, and they're 100 pin, I believe, a little wider than ISA. So only PC98 cards fit. But it's a massively expansive machine if you can get an operating system onto a hard drive. I mean, the hard drive might even work. I just don't know how to get an OS on the bad boy. I can't get a format to take, or even to start, or even to get anything to happen with it. I don't know how to do that. Sorry. That's, somebody does, but not me. Ideally, I should have just been able to run it off the floppy. And if you could run it off the floppy, you can get games on floppy that have a basic, DOS on them that are bootable games. And these are all dual floppy systems for the PC98, which is kind of interesting. They'd have one floppy, which is basically like the read-only game disk, and since the presumption was you had no hard drive, which is a pretty fair bet in a lot of cases, it would use the second floppy as your data disk for the game. So game saves and other data that the game might need during runtime, if it couldn't put it in memory, it would put it onto floppy number 2. Kind of far out. There's another dip switch here. I don't know what it does. I hope it's not, like preventing this thing from working. I mean, stupid flip of the dip switch. Maybe that would solve everything. I don't know. I kind of doubt that, though. So, PC98. Sorry for the upwards and sideways video and blah, blah, blah. A lot of information about these. Well, in this video, not a lot of information about these. A lot in Japan. And there is a community. I don't know what they know. Bits and pieces here and there. Helps to know Japanese. So I use a Google Translate augmented reality app on the phone. Because I don't know Japanese. But it sort of translates the screens. If you know computers, you can make sense over most of what you see. So, wow, a lot here, a lot to unpack. You could watch this 10 times and probably ask questions for an hour. I'm going to put this up for sale.